What you got?
I bought a new camera, and I
Yeah.
just clicked it on the screen. A new camera, new light. I think we're live now. We're live. Let me check the YouTube. Let's see how it looks on the YouTube. Yes, we're live, man. We're live and direct.
That's it, bro.
We're live and direct. Let me see. All right, cool. Hopefully we get some viewers, but we'll just go ahead, man. We'll just a conversation. Hopefully we get some viewers, but where did it talk? Oh, we've got one viewer so far.
Yeah, whoever you are, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. So how are you, man? How are you?
I'm alright, brother. Calm.
Yes, James.
I'm good.
Can you hear us, Jake?
I can hear you, but you're not coming through my thing. My
What do you
AirPod.
mean?
Ah, there we go.
We're new to this. We're new to this. This tech stuff. We're new to this.
Yes. Telling me, boys.
Evening.
Unlucky on the results Sunday, Joel. Telling me, boys.
Things happen.
All right, man. How are you?
Oh, good. Oh, good, my friend. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you, man. I'm all right, man. I thought, let me try something different. Let me try to find a new way of connecting with the people. And,
This makes sense, mate.
thanks for jumping in and helping out.
This benefits me because obviously I can't make it at the minute.
Can't make the live sessions, but we're here. But yeah, man, how's everyone? How's the week been?
Studying, man. My week's just started, mate. Bank holiday.
Oh yeah, what is it? Tuesday? It's Tuesday today.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
How's the week been?
Say that again, sorry.
How's the week been?
Yeah, steady to be fair. We're like Jake, we just started back to work, so but the work don't really stop, so just kind of like working in the background.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How about yourself?
I'm well, man.
He's proud of himself.
Challenging. Obviously, it's the first stream, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to get it going, man, because I thought, you know what, how are we going to get it online? How are we going to get it out there to everybody? And I'm not really, as long as I had like somebody else on this stream.
Yeah.
So like, you know what? All right, cool. This is what we're doing. We'll just look back in a year and see how far we've come.
Nah,
but yeah.
First steps is always the scary step in it, but after you've done that.
Yes, Jason.
Evening, Jason.
How you doing?
All the way from Dubai.
Living life.
We've officially gone global study of men.
Bro, I've been trying to get in the study of men for the longest, man. I've been requesting this live session. I'm happy to see it.
Listen, I live about 5 minutes from home, and it took me 2 years to get in there, innit?
Yeah, like, it's good, man. I think it's needed. It's needed, man, because we got in some conversations. I feel like the world kind of needs to hear, and it'll benefit other people.
100%.
In the stream and actually viewing the content, it'll benefit other people.
Nah, 100%.
That's it.
It's good to be all fathers. So how's fatherhood lately for everyone?
Testing.
I hear that one. It's been a ride, man. How's it going? What's the challenges?
Ooh. He thinks me and him are the same age. So it's at that stage of, yeah, but if you don't do this, who are you talking to? But nah,
Yeah,
he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
yeah. The good kids, man. Challenging, like challenging. Denver's had his own challenges recently, and it's
What's
like,
going on with him?
like last week he said he was on the phone. We was making jokes at each other, and then he was like, "Me and Daddy don't look the same." Because he's like, "Daddy's black," and I'm like, "This," and he's like, "This is it." So then, days ago, mom was like, Dembo was saying he's not black, he's white. And I was
Yeah,
Oh
like,
dear.
like it was a bit like, is it daunting the word? It was a bit daunting, but I was like, you know what? Maybe he might have like an identity issue at some point. Or he's probably obviously he's 4, so he probably doesn't really know the difference yet. But at some
yeah.
point he might have like an identity issue that you really want to kind of nip in the bud before it gets too far.
Yeah, I think it's more or less about the explanations and explaining to you. But obviously, he's still young in it, so
Yeah,
so you're just about not letting it shock you per se, but just saying, okay, cool, prepare yourself for that conversation to happen.
yeah, most
Mm.
definitely. I think that's what it is. But in the moment, I felt a bit sad, man. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
the kid wants to be white. But it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't know. And his school's a bit mixed, so he's probably just young. He's just like naive at the moment. So we just gotta wait and see.
No, I
Well,
think it's
you, JP.
obviously at that age you don't really know there's a difference in it. So it's like, yeah, there's just white and black, and if I'm not black, then I must be white, and it.
Yeah, that's true. To be fair,
Um,
that's true. But it's just a bit of education in the long run. That's another task. But yeah, I just want to keep an eye on it and just it doesn't amount to nothing over the years.
yeah.
When
What's
I
the
was young,
challenge for everybody else? Sorry,
when I,
Jason.
when I was younger, I used to wonder, weirdly enough, like what it felt like to be white. Like
Yeah, that one's
I'm thinking like these men like blush, they go red, and then when it's cold, they go blue. It's like they're like multicolored or something. Like it was just nuts to me. I couldn't fathom the concept of like just changing colors, bro. Like it was just so crazy to me. Um, but yeah, I think growing up, I learned a lot about Black history, Black heritage, and those sort of things. Like the strength that comes with being Black, the uniqueness that comes with being Black, and that really made me feel like empowered. Even thinking back of Africa, like just what comes out of Africa. Um, yeah, and just building Africa. Like I'm just so motivated and passionate about these topics now.
yeah. I think it's just education over the long run. It's education. Like as fathers, it's kind of our role to. It's one of the duties is to educate our children on where we've come from and the culture, or who they are and their identity. I think it's just difficult when you hear him doubt it, or you remember he's a kid. Like that first instance, I'm like, whoa, this is a lot. He's only 4, but then I'm like, you know what? Over time, just educate him, just educate him, just educate him.
100%.
100%.
Nah, I think you got plenty of time before you got to worry about um the confusion setting in. I think it's more of a, yeah, he's just trying to find that balance.
Yeah,
I'm switching devices though.
nah, definitely. It'd be all right, though. It'd be all right. But yeah, what Jason, you ain't been to one of our sessions, so I think
Yeah.
you guys, I want like you, Jordan or Joel, to tell him about the sessions, so you can actually hear it from not from me.
Sure.
Yeah, I can go. I think the section's very insightful. That's the best way to put it in the terms of because of the topic that we speak about and having young men, young black men coming into a space where they feel comfortable enough to express what they're going through. That's the most important thing. And as you know, as men in general, not just black men, but men don't necessarily open up and speak to people. And even if they do, it's a very surface level of a conversation. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. All right, then cool, move on. But what almost has done and continuously doing is providing that space and that letting everyone know that when you do come in, even if you don't have anything to say, you will end up leaving the room with something, or you'll end up actually realizing you're probably not the only one that's going through the situation that you're going through. There's a lot of different men that are going through it, but just in a different stages. So um, for yourself, said Jason, obviously you're far away from us, but it'll be things like this will help, because then you'll be able to have a little bit more insight at what's really going on with the study of men. And hopefully I've done you proud, Omar. Hopefully I explained it quite.
Like, yeah, no, it's not even that. I think it's more of the space. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
there's an attachment to me and the space, and it's an attachment that I didn't want. I wanted the space to be independent to itself, um, and for it to represent everyone that kind of enters the space, because we all add value to it. I just supply the space. I learn as much as everybody else learns. For me, I'm
Yeah.
just a host. I don't really like playing a facilitator role because I'm also learning. So, and I think the space we've created is beautiful, especially after the last session when we had the 16-year-olds. I was like, whoa, I actually really enjoy this.
Mm.
And from then, you're like, you know what? Okay, cool. I want to do this for a very, very long time. How can we grow it? What can we build? What resources can we build? What community can we build? And I had a call today with a lady who I met on LinkedIn, and she wanted me to speak to her 13-year-old son, because he wants to do presentations in schools about mental health in his own school, etc. So he was just asking me questions on, like, because he feels fearful of doing it, and I was like, you know what, and he's a smart kid, literally a very smart kid. I said, you're just scared to do it because you don't want to be judged in school, but you've got
Mm.
the tools you need to do it,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful to see once you've created that space and how much people you can affect. Because they live in Manchester. We just got on a Zoom call and we had the conversation, and it was. I left it. I was like, because today my mood was low. I left it. I thought, you know what, crack on. You've got to crack on. Keep cracking on. Keep cracking on. And that's where you look back and like, you know what, this space is actually valuable.
100%. 100%. Because even from the outside looking in and seeing like the journey and the development and everything, like um I think it's such an amazing space. Like I hear like little snippets of the conversations, and bro, I've been craving like just being in the presence of the study of men, like to be in the group. Like it's something I see from a distance, and like I've been advocating for it to be online so much so that when you sent me the link, I saw it. I'm like, yo, I'm clicking this, I'm joining it. There's no way I'm gonna miss this. Like I had the call. I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna do the call. Like I'm gonna join. So yeah, I think it's really beautiful, man. I love the work you do. I love the impact you have. Joe as well. We follow each other on Instagram.
yeah,
I
yeah, we do.
I can't see your picture properly like on the call right now because I'm on my phone. But yeah, like fam, I feel connected to all these people because you put them on my timeline and I follow their journey and they follow my journey, and like even Jack, I see him all the time. Bro, there's so many people that I know because of the work that you do. So it's insane.
Nice. It's definitely joyful to see everyone connect, man. I think that's the beautiful thing about building communities. It's beyond you. It's the connections that happen around you. Like, you might be like connecting them, but you just let them grow. You let them get bigger on their own.
Yeah.
That's there, because even some of these topics are large, and it can be daunting. So it's good to have people that you can connect with and see their journey and then compare notes and grow from each other.
Yeah,
No.
100%, 100%. Okay.
Who's in? You know what? We got 4 viewers. That's better than I expected. If anyone's got any questions, just pop them over and we'll answer them. Whoever's watching, anything to do with mental health, masculinity, fatherhood, anything, any questions, put them in the chat in the comment section, and we'll answer them one by one.
Yeah. So what platforms are you streaming on today? So we're on YouTube and then StreamYard, right?
Yeah, I've used StreamYard and then it's gone through to YouTube. I just asked ChatGPT which platform should I use, and he said, "Yeah, use StreamYard," and then I just figured it out from there. It's good though. Honestly, like, I feel like we should I actually want to go on YouTube and listen to these conversations, because that's what now I'm like, when I go on YouTube and I'm listening to some, I'm like, this is boring, man. I need something more.
Yeah, there's a lot of toxic information, isn't it? And there's a lot of information that's not healthy for certain people. Do you know what I mean? So, and there's not that many. If there are, then there's not really been seen enough. There's not that many like positive, genuine conversations of real day-to-day life. What's actually going on? What people are actually facing. Not the whole social media things where everyone put that persona. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, each to their own. But for me, I feel like having a genuine conversation. For speaking for myself, anyway, like, but oh my, you know me, I don't really like to talk too much. I'm just But when it comes down to things that I feel like it will benefit someone else, I'm more than happy to open my mouth and have those conversations, because it's not, like I almost say, it's not just about me. It's about actually aiding someone else, because we don't know who we could be helping right now. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely. Gavin says this needs to be a regular thing. Keep pushing, bro.
Jeez.
Our first comment, we're going up in the world. We're going up in the world, man.
Certainly, man. I think what I love about the creator space as well is like every person is unique, and because we have the opportunity to pick up a camera and create, it's like you can put anything that you desire out into the world, and you can create something that never existed, and you can make it your own. Like, I don't know, even this call, like, I feel emotional. I don't even know why I feel emotional. I don't feel like we touched on anything emotional, but just knowing, like, yo, I got 2 black brothers here, like, just sharing a nice little conversation, a nice little chat. Like, it just
There's
feels
another
nice.
one, to be fair, is hiding.
Oh, there it is.
I didn't know my had me in the dark, blood.
I just realised, to be fair.
Like, I thought, yo, am I a special guest? And I'm gonna pop out, like, yeah. Let's talk, boys. But nah, man, I think, you know what it is, these places for me, they're so sick. I remember my first one, and I went there and I thought, I ain't gonna say a damn thing. I'm not gonna tell nobody my business, but I'm gonna listen. And then when it starts going, and you're like, yo, that's not just me, and you just feel so much more comfortable. You start talking, you realize it's a judgment-free, safe space. It's just sick, man.
No, 100%. You know what though? If it's okay, bro, I want to know more about you. I don't think I know you.
Me?
Yeah, you.
What do you want to know? Go on, I'm open book now.
I don't know. Tell me about your life, man. Tell me about your story, man. Hear about you. What makes you, man?
I don't know. I'm not good at this one. Omar did this to me the first time, and I was like, I'm Jordan. I'm a dad.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's very simple.
I am.
But he's
That's the thing.
complex. He's a great guy. He's just laid back, chilled, funny guy. He's a
That's
great
me.
guy.
I'm a good friend. I
That's
try and
not
be a
that's not
good
how I
dad.
remember him on a football pitch.
Son, that was young me. I can't run now. I got arthritis, blood. But nah, yeah, I'm a good dad. I'll try and be a good husband. Yeah, that's.
Are you offering is married? Oh my god, I'm just here. Nothing. Offering is married. I'm just here. There's nothing.
Nah, you due time, man. You due time, brother.
You're married to the hustle. Married to the
Nah,
Your time will come, dear.
you know what? That touched on a question. Yeah, like what makes a good dad? So that's a good question. I feel like what makes a good dad?
I think for me, being present, allowing him to feel his feelings. I remember when I first went in, like when I was first a dad, I was like, I got a boy, that's it, gotta be tough. What are you crying for? Everybody's looking at me like I'm nuts. And now if I look back, I think idiot. Like he's crying because he's two and he just fell over and it hurt. Like, yeah, so I think being present, allowing him to be himself and just guiding him through the highs and the lows and teaching him in those moments. I think that's what it is for me for now.
Yeah, I think yeah. To add on that, I think pretty much similar to be fair in terms of like being present, but being actively present and being emotionally available to to kind of like trying to navigate and support. That's how I feel like being the best at is just being there to that be that support and now let them go trying to figure out the world, but just be beside them and support every step of the way. Really, I think that's how kind of like how I see myself as a being a good dad, is being present, being around and playful, even when I'm knackered, even when I know I want to rest, but providing that space and letting him be a kid, not letting him to grow too quickly. Just yeah, and I'm learning along the way. You know what I mean? First time being a father, so I'm not gonna be the best of the best, but I'm gonna be the best to him.
Mm.
That's all I can try and do. Be the best that I can be for him. That's it really.
Mm.
And you know what else as well? I think protecting their peace. I
Mm.
think Joel touched on it very simply there, but as men, I feel like we were forced to grow up early, like super early. So then by the time we got to 15, 16, 17, 18, we was all like, yeah, I'm grown. Like, who's going to tell me anything? I'm grown. Whereas I don't want him to have that attitude of, I'm grown. I want him to have that attitude of, yeah, of course I made a mistake. I'm a kid. I'm learning.
Yeah.
Because I think it's only now we accept we're still learning. Um, so yeah, I want him to feel comfortable to learn, even if it's by making a mistake.
Yeah. Jason, anything?
I think for me, I'm trying to really think of like what is a good dad, because for me, I always want to push the envelope. I don't want to be a good dad. I want to be an excellent dad. I want to be a phenomenal dad. I want to be a wow type of dad. But at the same time, I haven't given that a definition of what that even looks like. But when I look at inspirational figures, like I seen Dean Forbes went out to a football match with his son, Arsenal versus whoever. I don't watch football, so I don't know
Real
about all that.
Madrid, Real Madrid. That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah. So I saw that, and I see the way he sits with his family and he has dinner. I think presence is like very key. I think understanding your kids individually and having good relationships with them individually, I think that's key. I think what I love about being a father is the way my daughter runs to me when I come through the door or when I'm leaving the door, like the way she hugs onto me and she doesn't want to let go of me. Um, my daughter has autism, so she's not speaking yet. She's not verbal yet. She's 5. So that's like one thing that I really want to push for and I want to advocate for. And I want to fight and I want to change the world and I want to change the way the world perceives people with autism. And yeah, I I think I'm good, but I want to do so much more. I don't think I'll ever get to the level I want to get at, but
Mm.
I'm really inspired by like that gap of impossibility, but almost possible. Like I'm grasping it, but it's almost there, like type of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, I think that's what my definition is, though. That constant striving to be better, that
Mm,
constant trying, because we've all become fathers in the last 3, 4, 5 years, and it's like okay, we're not gonna get it all right, but that constant trying. Like I remember on Louis' birthday, JP, and he was like, our boys are soft. But I love that idea because like growing up like
Off boys.
hard and cemented, like but we have these versions of us who are soft and in their kind of natural kind of personality, just expressive however they want, playing football however they want, and they're just enjoying life. But we're just learning. Like as they're growing up, I think last weekend I thought as Denver's learning, I'm learning. I almost feel like I'm a child again. Like I'm
Yeah,
just
for real.
like I'm like a boy again. Like I feel like his boyhood allows my boyhood to come out. So like yeah, just grow with him. And I think that's what the definition of actually fatherhood is that growth with his children, and kind of as they grow, you then grow, and it just forces you to be better.
100%.
Someone left a question. Um,
Do whatever you just did. There you go.
where-
There you go. Comes up on the screen.
Yo, this is top tier. You know, I love this.
Oh,
Why do you think as men we continue to put in a bravado? If the answer is ego, then why doesn't ego require protection?
That's an interesting question. A very deep question.
I think it's just life experience and the male experience. I feel like men have to do it so much to uphold the standard that's been set for us in a generation that isn't ours. And it's like women want this provider, this grafter, this everything, but they don't want the negatives that come with that, which I'm sure all of us have experienced of the absent fathers because they're grafting, the absent fathers because they're in the pub. That's not my experience, but we all know that is an experience. But women uphold that the pretty side of he goes out and he does all this, and they forget everything that they didn't do, or the violence that women of the past were subject to with no regard for actually what's modern day society, I think.
I think yeah. Looking at that, I'm trying to kind of like break it down in two. So we look at like bravado and we look at the ego. I think every man has an ego. I think if you don't say you haven't got ego, then that's it's a bit of a taboo for I wouldn't sit here and think no one doesn't have an ego. There's a healthy ego that you can have, and then there's also a negative ego that you can have. And then when we talk about bravado in terms of like that, I think sometimes society put these things out there, and then a lot of men struggle to differentiate between the two. And for me, it's like looking at this and thinking, okay, it's not such a thing. Ego requires a protection. Is that what the word said? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think in regards to like having bravado and putting because you know, you look at it like we have those all um certain individual that will act a certain way in a group when they're in a different group, and then act a certain way when they're in different group of people as well. So I think it comes down to a place where your ego, do you feel like you're comfortable within yourself to be who you are, or do you feel like you're having to fit fit in the room so become someone that you actually not? And majority of the time in the society that we are in, a lot of men tend to trying to fit in a lot of rooms that they don't actually belong in, and find themselves not having to uphold that sort of level of bravado per se we want to call it, because you're trying to fit in the room that you don't actually belong in, because you just want to fit in. So you're having to put this bravado, you're having to put this persona, you're having to carry yourself in a certain way because the society say as men, you have to be a certain type of person. You have to carry yourself in a certain way. I think for me, it's like as an individual, I know I have an ego, but my ego, I like to think of my ego as a very healthy one that I challenge it within myself. I push myself. I believe I'm the best at what I do, and every time I do something, regardless of anyone else. So that ego is within myself, but that doesn't mean that I will go somewhere else and pretend to be something that I know I'm not. That comes down to, I like to think that comes down to also that uh, personal level of intelligence and understanding who you are. Um, yeah, that's my view on this.
I reckon, yeah. One thing on that, like an observation that I've made, I feel like a lot of people, like the ego's there to protect, and I think most people that use it as bravado is a form of protecting that hurt they experience at an early age. So, and that hurt doesn't always, that hurt could be the lack of, for example, the lack of love, lack of affection, lack of attention, lack of care, lack of stability, lack of peace. And then the ego kind of builds because you haven't built up those emotional growth kind of layers internally. So then you use the ego as bravado to protect that hurt. I think that's something that I'm realizing more that most people who have an ego, which comes out as bravado, it's because they have been hurt at an earlier age and they're yet to actually go through the process of healing that hurt.
Mm, fair play, fair play. I think from my side though, honestly, I don't think I've studied the subject enough to even have an opinion on this. I think all of you guys, like your answers, I thought is really insightful. Like using the ego to protect yourself, protecting yourself, and then putting on a bravado to even protect yourself even more. Um, I understand. I think from my side, when I think of it, from with my wife, and that's when we speak, I feel like growing up, I felt a bit numb. Um, for example, when we first met, I wasn't as emotionally in tune as I am now. And I think that is me trying to protect myself, but trying to put on like a face, as in, men are meant to be strong, men are meant to be this, men are meant to be that. Like, I literally hadn't cried, like, since a young age, maybe like 10, 11, 12, all the way till 26, 27. And I felt like that's a way of me trying to protect myself and trying to keep on that brave face, that bravado. But I think when you're around the right people and you can let your guard down and it's a safe space. Like even here now, like I feel like every one of us feels like we can be vulnerable. So like no one's gonna come out of it like, ha ha, you said that shit, and you know. So yeah, I think that's my take on it. When you have a safe space, when you feel safe, you can drop that ego, you can drop the bravado, but it takes time. It takes time to realize that you're in a safe space and you can do those things.
Did your wife kind of help you through that process? Was she aware that you wasn't really giving your full emotional capacity?
Um, I think it's learning from each other. I
Yeah,
think um, sh- you know, women are a lot more like emotionally in tune. Like something would happen and she would cry about it, and I wouldn't understand why she would cry about it because hard for me to understand the concept of even, I don't know, just feeling so sad and feeling so helpless that you want to cry. Whereas as a guy, I'm like, okay, there's a problem. Like, how are we gonna solve it? Like, I'm too busy thinking about solving the problem. And she made me understand that, okay, sometimes when it gets too heavy, you want to release. And sometimes guys, you'd find people just on the street fighting because they're really upset about something else, but something happens and they fight, and that's their form of release. And crying for her was like her healthy release. And I think, yeah, just understanding that there's multiple ways in which you can release some of the tension and the pressures of the world.
Yeah, interesting. I
yeah.
also feel like a lot of people don't actually know what feelings are. So, like in terms of like realizing what emotions are. So, like a lot of us, we because we grew in a generation where You know, a lot of people trying to use the narrative of, okay, men don't cry, men don't do this. You have to be tough. You have to be that. A lot of people sort of by default fall into that bracket, and then they numb themselves. They don't actually understand what a feeling is, what emotion is. So for you to not be able to cry, you wouldn't know because you don't know what that emotion is. You're not able to perform that because you don't know what that emotion is. And I think a lot of us, a lot of men in this day and age, we see a lot of people walking around and just struggling or very angry with themselves. And by when you ask them, "Are you alright?" They say, "Yeah, I'm fine." But like just because in reality they actually don't understand what emotion that they're going through, what they're feeling, and they don't know or they don't have a space for them to be able to express or allow that emotion just be. So we get to a place where, like you say, you'll have a lot of men who will fight over, someone stepping over their shoes, fight
Mm.
over someone bumping them by accident, fight, just with the simplest little things, you end up exploding because you have held it in so much that you don't even know what to do with it. Now it's just a case of, oh, let me just explode. And that's the most dangerous thing that, you know, a lot of men walking around with.
100%.
Yeah, it's like a ticking time bomb. It's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
ticking time bomb. It's like a ticking time. I've been there where it's like you hold it all in and eventually explode, whether that's on the football pitch, whether that's at home. But it, I I think I think it's good to explode so then you are aware because I think because what's the limit if you keep holding it in like sometimes it's good to explode in a place where there's less damage caused to you.
Mm.
So it's like I think exploding at an earlier age than say having a wife and kids and then exploding it's completely different.
It's dangerous, man.
Dangerous, or like you go somewhere and then you explode, or exploding on a football pitch is completely different to exploding in like a club, for example. The
Mm.
the variables are different. I feel like I like young, but it's difficult because young kids are exploding now and then kind of acting out in rages of violence. So it's like,
Can I can I challenge that thinking though?
yeah, of course.
Because I feel like emotionally, I feel like what Joel said as well. It's almost like you don't know what you're feeling, and I think when you're in tune with your feelings, you can almost even tell like when you're getting to that point of
Mm,
you, like maybe let's say explosion is like red and green is like you're super happy and you feel like you're just skipping on the road. You have that feeling internally, and I think during the day, like things happen. I read this one book and he was talking about like micro stresses. Like you wake up, you check your phone and you see something on Insta, maybe like a DM or something, or you get like an email and someone's asking for something and it's like micro doses and micro stresses, and it's building and it's building and it's building. And I think the point where it gets to like explosion can sometimes be dangerous. I think a good controlled explosion is good. Yeah, I think
mm,
it also takes like some emotional awareness internally to know like, okay, I'm at this point now, let me go shout the guys, let's go do some footy or something, you get me, let's go do that. Whereas sometimes when it's unchecked and it gets to the red and you don't even know it's got to that red, then it's like, then you start screaming, then you start like banging the wall, and then like it could almost be like internal self-damage, and it could sabotage a situation that could potentially be a good situation. And I think a lot of things can crumble from that, say negative explosion. So I don't know. Can you elaborate on like what you mean, like the explosion, like
I think it's like you need like controlled. Like Denver does this sometimes. Sometimes he just has a moment where he needs a moment to just go all out. And
mm,
for me, it's my responsibility to create a safe environment of which that he does it in. So if he
mm,
just wants to just scream, it's like sometimes I just let him just scream because you can see he's just had enough. Just scream. Um, it's difficult as you get older because how we explode is completely different to a child, and no one's going to create a safe environment for us. So it's like you have to and that's why I think having boys are good. Having a community is good because sometimes you need them to be like, you know what, I can tell he's getting to a point where he needs help. Let's just go do something. Let me just shout
Mm.
and say, "Are you cool? Let me. What you want to do? You want to link up? You want to go here? You want to do this or whatever?" Like just that random check-in sometimes brings you back down. Um, it's tough, man, because I do think we all need that controlled kind of explosion, whether that's through sports, um, through even conversation. Like sometimes venting, just venting. Sometimes, like yeah, just vent to the man there and say, "Yeah, all right, cool, I'm over it."
Mm.
But it's quite for young because I think of it as young boys. Like, how do we give them that safe zone to have it if we're not their parents? Because like for our kids, we can give that to them, but then how do we give it for the other kids in the world? It's like it's a difficult one because a lot of their explosions are coming out in violence or it's a whole load of other things.
You know what it is? I think it's just being around them kind of people though. Like obviously in my line of work, I'm not their parent. They don't rate me when they first meet me, etc., etc. But I think it's just role modeling that behavior of either it's safe to talk or I'm safe to talk to.
Mm,
Because I think people are so stuck in that place of I'm gonna be judged for whatever I do. So better I make it a madness. Because how often do we hear about so and so who did this and that before we hear about so and so who broke down and cried and spoke to someone and the snot bubbles and it's all a joke when it's that one, but when it's serious, everyone's like, "Oh, you heard about?" And I think that's what we need to take away, that perception of being sad is wrong and doing it that way. Um, so yeah, I think for me, I try and make sure the people that I can impact on, I either mirror it and show them that, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna talk. And if you want to chip in, you're more than welcome. Show me your vantage point, or I just let people speak in a judgment-free zone.
yeah, a safe space.
Mm.
I wanna ask though. I wanna learn from you guys. Like, what are like your methods of controlling yourselves and bringing yourself back. What's your favorite go-to?
Me, I'm quiet. I need quiet. I need solitude. And some people think that's toxic when you just like, yo, just give me an hour by myself. And I'm like, nah, man, it's grounding because only I can deal with me and it
Mm,
like is the way I see it. And it's not a negative, like, but if you ask me and I tell you, once it's out there, it can't come back. And if you ask me before I've understood it, I've processed it, and I've put it into a world friendly view, I'm going to be judged for the internal before I've had a chance to process it. So for me, I need a solid hour just by myself, headphones in, just leave me alone.
I
And
can
after that,
relate.
I'm cool.
Nah, fair enough. I think for me, it all comes down to the circumstance on the environment that I'm in because it's great. Obviously, I do too want that quiet time, but sometimes I'm not able to get that quiet time to regulate myself. So could be a case of okay, sometimes there'll be a lot of time. I work with a lot of young people. Sometimes I'll find myself feel like, oh, I need just to walk away here. So sometimes you will just see me in the middle of a conversation. I'll just walk away, and sometimes a lot of the time people will look at me like, whoa, what is he doing? But I know at that moment of time, I just that needs that split of a change of scenery to get myself back to where I need to get to again. That's if I'm in a place like let's say in a school environment or I'm working with certain people in certain places. Then that, but other than that, is more or less when I need my reset time is pretty much I'll do reading. I like to read. I'll put a little bit of an audio book in, or I'll just read. Um, I've got a nice little reservoir behind me here, so I'll go for my walk. and that's me really. It doesn't take me much to bring myself back down. Because it takes a lot for me to get there. So I don't need a lot of time to really get myself back down.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
What do you do?
Family time, you know.
Oh no, good God, no.
Family time. I find that family time has been filling up my tank, man. Like whenever I'm around my siblings or a nice, just like I come away, I'm like, yeah, man. Like, if I could, yeah, I'd live in a big house with all my siblings.
I think, do you know what? That's great because obviously you have that luxury. I like to say, because I think having a big family around you is a luxury. I like to think. Whereas for someone who's got, is it in my family, it's about my direct family is about three of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no.
it's like I have to find different ways. So for yourself, that's great. And then we have to think like, what's on the bigger picture? How many of other people out there that will have a big family like you, for example, Omar? How many of them will be fortunate enough to have that? Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
think are finding different way for them to regulate themselves because here this is what we're talking about. It's about finding ways for you to bring yourself back down to base one again. And if you haven't got that the luxury, then you gotta try and figure out what's the next best thing for you to do. You know what I mean? Because if I said to you, "Oh, I'm going to my family," I'm still at home. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying, "Oh, I'm going upstairs. I see Isaiah over there." There's not that many a lot of people around, and the people that I do have around, as you know yourself, they're very limited, and there's a reason for that. So yeah,
yeah. Good point, to be honest. Um, but I've only recently become like that. If I'm honest,
yeah,
I think only recently I realized, well, this actually does something good to me. Beforehand, I'd be like, yeah, I just go to the gym or sleep. Sleep's a good one, actually.
Sleep.
Sleep is a magic healer, you know. Like if you're ever in like a bad mood and you can sleep, honestly, just go to sleep for as long as you can.
But you know what about sleep, yeah, bro? I don't know. Sometimes when I'm facing like an issue in business, bro, and I'm like, yo, this is fucking long, bro. When I go to sleep, I actually don't want to wake up, you know, like, bro. Like I will be in bed for the longest, fam. Like, you know something is wrong here when I'm just in bed for bare long, bro. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
just chilling in bed. I think you need those days, man. Some days, if you can do it and you just stay in bed.
I think that's why. I think don't sleep because you have issue, you have things that's going wrong. Sleep because you actually need to rest your mind and refresh. Because if
yeah,
you sleep because you have issues, the issue's still gonna be there when you wake up. You're gonna wake up.
bro.
Wake up stressed.
No, the mad part is sometimes, yeah, when I sleep, yeah, and I sleep and I just ignore the problem, bro. Like I'll wake up and the problem solves itself, bro. Like it's crazy. Like it's weird. Like I think it's not normal, but I don't know. One thing I've realized becoming an entrepreneur is like sometimes we think we do all of the magic, but like I've really learned to like trust in God. Like
Yeah, bro.
it's weird. It's weird how certain things happen. Like I remember there's one time I was so stressed, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna tell my missus about this? And then in the morning, like I'm doing my thing in bed where I don't want to wake up, and I'm thinking, okay, let me tell her. And I tell her, and she's like, oh no, that's already done. Like that's already solved. And I'm thinking, so I was out here stressing for
That's
my
it.
friend. So yeah, it's interesting.
What is it that you do?
So me and my missus, we help brands grow and scale on Amazon. So we've been doing it for like 6 years now. Um, we have we like really taken it seriously. Um, but yeah,
Um, Sorry, that question's that's a sick question. Oh,
I,
My point on this
yeah,
is I think it's bad because if we continue that cycle of being desensitized, it will only get worse because someone's got to feel. Whereas when we learn to manage it, learn to control it, learn to understand the emotion behind it, I feel like the environments they're in become better.
Mhm.
I think yeah, you don't. There's a lot to enjoy in life, and how you feel it's how something makes you feel is some of the greatest joys in life. Like how a person makes you feel, how an experience makes you feel. If you take that out, then what's the point? Like, not regardless of how bad or whatever the state of the world is in or your environment is in, the moment you take out the ability to feel for someone else or something else, then what's the point? Like I look at my son, for example, like I love him wholeheartedly.
Oh,
Imagine like I couldn't feel that. I'd be mad. I'd be like, there's no point. I'll be honest, I don't really see like after having my son, in my head sometimes I feel like, okay, and outside of my son and the work that I do, I'm like, I don't really feel nothing else gives me like great joy. So if I didn't really feel that joy, then what would be the point?
Yeah, I think as well, based on looking at this, I think the generation now of allowing. So how I look at it, so we're talking about desensitized. I look at it more or less like I shouldn't allow someone else to have a control of how my feeling, my mood will go throughout the day. I think a lot of the time, the generation now, what is the social media is doing, what the whole society are doing, are trying to control how each young person, or young men, young female, young adults are feeling, and which then result back into I am in control of my emotion. I'm entitled to feel happy when I want to feel happy. So using Omar example, for example, when you see Demba, that's an emotional attachment that he has, that he feels happy to see his son. But I feel a lot of the time, so the younger generation now are not longer in control of their own emotions. Their emotions are already being controlled by the universe, by the pictures, the cars, you know, the Rolexes, the music that they listen, the environment. So when it comes down to, you know, we're saying is the evolution of the environment. So I think like the environment do have the environment do play a part into the society community. The environment that you're in do play a part. However, I use this analogy the other time. I was thinking, I said, like, if you look at it like you're a flower, you grow up in the dirt. Flower grow up in the dirt, but flower grows to blossom. How does that work? Is it the flower blossom because it's because of the water, the soil, or the flower doesn't blossom because they don't get enough sun, they don't get enough water, they don't get enough protection. So I think a lot of our generation now, and I think not just the younger generation, I think some older generations are being allowed to be controlled. They're willing to accept anything that comes to their way. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, so does that. I need to go and do it because it looks great. So they're willing to allow other people to dictate how they're feeling throughout the day.
Hmm.
You know, if I can dictate how you're feeling now, Jason, and you have no control of yourself, I
Yeah.
have every single power to say, okay, yeah, now I want you to smile, and you're smiling for no reason because I'm dictating your emotion. I'm dictating how you're feeling, and our environment now, our generation now, a lot of our young people are being controlled and dictated without them knowing.
Yeah.
So we as adults now, we have to try and figure out how to break that cycle, and this comes down to when we are around them, we need to show them how they can beat themselves. So like for me, for example, I'll be myself next to a 5-year-old if I wanna, sometime I'll say, oh yeah, come, let's go have a race because I want to show you it's okay. Like you're a human to like certain things. You don't have to like what everybody else are doing. So I think for us, it's about modeling what we want them to become. We need to do a lot of modeling for a lot of young people because at this moment in time, there's not a lot of positive modeling to things. They'll tell you, yeah, do this and do that. You become this, you do that, that. No one really will sit down to, like, let's say we're doing now, expressing and conversating and passing each other's informations. No one's doing that with our young people.
Mm.
So it becomes a very problematic world, which you are already living in.
But
So
that's
then,
why it's important to have these
yeah,
conversations.
yeah, it's very, very important because I sit here, I look at it, I'll go, you know what, how are you, a 12-year-old, doing things that someone who should be in their 40s doing? You're trying to grow up so early because you've been told being 12 is not cool. You know, I wanna go back to being a 12-year-old. And this
100%.
12 year and then this 12-year-old, they want to grow up and be, 30, 40-year-old. I'm thinking, oh.
100%. I agree. I think everything you said pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think it's so true. I think environment like plays a critical part, and I always say this, man. Omar, every opportunity I get, like I just want to say like how important the work that you are doing is because it's absolutely phenomenal. Like even with the question that was on the screen previously, like I literally seen you interview one guy today, Myra, and then I went on his page, and then I'm seeing him talking about like how in this environment his friend died at 12, and because of that, he had a certain association with death, and that desensitized him to the point where when he knew his granddad was going to die, and he hadn't had a good relationship with his granddad, he thinking, I don't want to get close to this guy because then if he dies, I have to go through that emotion I had when my best friend died, and
Mm.
that's what he ends up regretting. So yeah, I think one of you guys touched on it, like just healing, doing that work to heal is really important.
Last question. We got about 5 minutes. I got to shoot because I got work.
That was a good question, though. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
good question, Michael, man. That was a good question. To be fair, Michael should be on this. He's very like he's very he's very he's very clued up, man. I feel like he's someone that needs to be heard more.
Get him in the room.
Yeah, he should be on this. He might be at work, to be fair, but he should be on this. But yeah, last question to dads. Do you ever find ourselves replicating things in our parents you didn't like, and how do you regulate yourself when this happens?
One sec, yeah. Before we answer this, Gavin, I wanted to say thank you for the comment that you dropped. I know Omar highlighted that on the screen, and if you can, I don't know if Omar's got your details or anything. Reach out
Our
to you.
connectors, I'll send him over now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, gentlemen, go on.
Yeah, I think at the start, to answer this, I think early on when I became a dad, I feel like I was doing certain things which I felt it was normal at the times. And the only thing, the greatest thing is for me is that because I've been working with a lot of young people and been looking at, so I've seen a lot of the patterns and a lot more in detail looking at what the patterns are in terms of like what your parents used to do. How does that now affect the young people, and then how does that when the young people go through that cycle, how does that affect them through their teens and then the adulthood? So I was luckily enough to be able to pull myself out of that to then start to look at how I was parenting my son. So I kind of got lucky in a sense. So I don't do it anymore. So I kind of, like I said, I'll just let him be him, let him do what he wants to do, protect him, and just be around him to give him that safe place, safe net of making mistakes, but yet not punishing him because that's what he was. Like when you did something wrong, you used to get a little clapping and your little bell, or little whatever. So that wasn't teaching anything. So for me now, to make sure that I don't do that, or if I find myself falling in that line, to regulate myself, I'll just take myself out of the situation. I'll go, okay, you know what, you do that, and then we'll deal with it after. So you do what you want to do now, and then I'll talk to you about it after, instead of me going, because that doesn't necessarily help. So yeah, hopefully I answered the question. To be fair,
Um, I think you see, you know what I do? I find myself once I've said something and he says why, I find myself saying, because I said so. Like, why are you like? And I think that's something that I hated. And you know what it is? My wife will often be like, no, tell him why, explain why you shouldn't do that. Whereas for me, that's alien. Like, why am I explaining myself to a 3-year-old? Like, because I said so bad. Like, and that's the one thing I think for me as a parent that I didn't like or wouldn't have liked. Yeah, yeah, that's one thing that I do. But yeah, I don't regulate myself. I either hear my wife in my head talking about, no, tell him why. I'm thinking, shut up, but I tell him. Or we'll be in the house and she'll be like, tell him, like, explain to him why he feels that way, why you shouldn't do that, why you should do this. So yeah, that's one.
You know what the thing with kids is? Kids need repetition. Like, they need to hear it and see it like 100 times sometimes, and then they get it. And sometimes you find yourself getting frustrated, but then you have to remind yourself, you know what? Why am I getting frustrated? The thing probably doesn't even matter. They're not doing anything
Mhm.
that really matters. It's just
Yeah,
that,
it's not detrimental.
yeah, you just want it to be a lot quicker, a lot easier. But truth is, like, the harder to do anything that is detrimental.
I think for us as well, for doing that, we're taking away the experiences, because
Yeah,
we're cutting down what that experience is supposed to look like, or the experience of going through whatever they want to do at that moment of times. So as adults, we're kind of robbing the joy away from them. We're stopping them from being kids at that present time. And we don't recognize that because we're so caught up in our own emotion. We're like, yo, come on, man, watch. But really, we're doing them no good, because we're stopping them from being just kids. And kids will be kids, and we just have to be the facilitator. Just be around, just to be okay. Cool. You want to jump? All right, then let me just be here, so you don't. If you do fall, uh, uh, I'll support you. But we don't tell. Oh yeah, don't jump, because I don't want you to jump. Like that, just you taking the fun away from young people. Like you're taking the fun away, and it's unfair on them, really.
but yeah, 100%. I think parenthood's crazy, and I think we're yet to get it completely right. Do I am anyway, and I think
Yeah.
because I think part of it isn't raising them how you would like them to be. I don't believe that anyway. I just believe it's giving him the tools he needs to become the person he is internally.
Hmm.
Because I believe he's already got his personality, and I'm there to kind of facilitate to make sure that he grows into that safely.
Certainly, 100% agreed.
But yeah, boys, I gotta shoot to work, man. This has been absolutely great. I feel like technology is changing the world in a positive way. Thank you everyone for coming through. It's been a pleasure. Honestly, it's been an hour, but it's been a pleasure. I think we got up to like 9 or 10 viewers at one point. For everyone that tuned in, thank you, Micah, Gavin. Thank you, appreciate
Thank you for
it.
the questions.
Yeah, thank you for the questions. We'll do it again sometime.
Almost always the first person to get me to do these live things.
Oh man,
You know what? I had a lot of people ask me what time, and I know people are hesitant. People are thinking, nah, should I do it? Should I not? Sometimes you just have to do it, and then next time more people will be like, yeah, you know what? Let me see what else I can get, because I feel like, because especially everyone's in their own houses, you don't really need to leave. We can have this conversation. Could be an hour, could be two, could be longer. Like could come up in so much different formats, and I
Yeah.
feel like You get me, like this, we're getting good feedback already, and I'm happy with the progress. So thank you guys for your time, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, my brother. Always.
Love.
Next time, do it after I've been barbers, please. Thank you.
But you know, I'm not to do. Well, we'll see when else. Maybe next week, same time, maybe.
Come as you are, man. Safe
Come as you
room,
are,
safe
come as
space.
you
You know
are,
what I mean?
come as you are.
No, I'm here, but I showed Omar my trim earlier. Just sent me laughing faces.
You know, I said that. I thought, should I have said that?
Nah, I'm comfy. I'm married, but I ain't got nobody to impress.
No, man, no. But yeah, man. Everyone have a good evening, man. We got the families and we'll
Love.
catch
Laters, boys.
you later, man.
Much
Hey,
love.
Jason, we're international.
Mr. Internet.
Global.
Bye, man.
Come on.
Later.
Laters, boys.